Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today's Sunday, September 7th, 2025, and Tylenol causes autism? Huh? I guess that's the announcement being made by RFK Jr., and that's coming up, and very interesting. I thought it would be more vaccine-centric. That was what things were leading me to believe, but I guess maybe it's more complicated than that. So there's all sorts of, and I think it's Tylenol while you're pregnant that may be a contributing factor. I don't know that that's the whole thing, but it's certainly interesting. And RFK Jr. and Trump both said that they were going to announce their findings with regards to autism within the month, and that was in August. And so, like sometime between now and September, whatever date it was in August. So I'm happy that they followed through, but it's interesting. I think it's, again, more complicated than that. So I'll wait for the official announcement, but very interesting. Censorship of Francis Widdowson and Me Too. There's a whole bunch of censorship going on, and Francis Widdowson was going to go to University of Manitoba and talk about their indigenous, well, their misrepresentation of history. And initially they said, you can come, but you'll have to pay for a $20,000 security team. And then they said, actually, you can't come. So pretty crazy stuff. And I've got some censorship to show you. I'm working through it with Spotify right now. And it's been for the last hour that I've been on with support with them. And I got no views yesterday on my show and no views on the free show or the paid show, which is super duper weird. And I have more viewers on my paid show than I have subscriptions. So I have X amount of subscriptions and Y amount of viewers on my paid show, and I don't know why, and they don't know why either. And they keep passing me off to different support people. So it's really, really interesting. Nobody wants to give me a straight answer, and I'm not shocked, but shocking. The knives are out for RFK Jr., and we talked about that a little bit. 1BC calls for an end to immigration in Canada. And do you know what the International Mobility Program is? It's the program that the Conservatives would be targeting if they were serious about stopping immigration and finding jobs for Canadians. For real. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, the International Mobility Program is big news, probably the biggest news that you've never heard of. Here's Harmon, and he says, I thought the temporary foreign worker program was bad. Then I looked at the international mobility program, 13 times bigger, no checks, no debate, no plan for Canadians. This isn't immigration policy. It's Ottawa opening the floodgates and selling out Canadian workers. So the red is the international mobility program, and there's no oversight. And it goes all the way back to the year 2000. In the year 2000, there was 234 people brought in, and I don't know the number of the International Mobility Program, but maybe it's 234 in the International Mobility Program, but I don't know what the green and the blue numbers are. But I've got charts. We've got the website. I've just got some color on it first. Table Salt says, holy cow, someone started a website to track how many temporary work permits are being issued in Canada. 3.1 million permits in 2024. This is an insane assault on Canadian workers. This is suicidal for a nation. Yeah, it's not so good. GDF&BS says, are you familiar with the IMP, the International Mobility Program? You thought temporary foreign workers were bad. IMP is even worse. So hire a worker without a LEMA. About the process, right? And Mario says, a Canadian patriot did something for all of us. He used all of IRCC data to show us how insane our immigration policies are. And yeah, so here's the website, and it is absolutely bonkers. It is crazier than you think. Oh, I hope it renders. This is annoying. Okay, there we go. Canadian immigration statistics. This data is published by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada as various spreadsheets and CSV files. The intent of this website is to help make the data available in a more easily consumable visual format. And he's got an X thing and an Instagram thing and a buy me a coffee. So if you want to support his work, there you go. You can check that out. But here's the year 2000 to 2024, and it's got the numbers above it. But these are total numbers. So in 2024, there were 3,125,000 temporary foreign work or international IMP permits given, and study permits, right? And so you've got, I don't know which one. Study permits are green, temporary foreign work is blue, and red is the International Mobility Program. So the International Mobility Program is monstrous. It was bigger than the temporary foreign worker program in the year 2000. And I've never, look at that. IMP's got 89,000 in the year 2000. Holy cow, that's great. Okay, good. So if you hover over it, so the students in the year 2000 were 122,000 and the IMPs were 89,000. And temporary foreign workers back then were just 22,000. That's still really high. If you go forward to, let's go to 2012 just for fun. The IMPs were 347,000 at that point in time, which is Wild. The students, 274,000, and the temporary foreign workers, 86,000. Let's go up to 2024. This is last year. So the IMPs were 1.8 million from 2012, 12 years later, doubles, quadruples. Okay. Holy smoke. 1.89 million. That's huge. The students are almost a million by themselves, 996,000. So that's crazy. And the temporary foreign workers, the thing that Pierre Poilievre is taking direct aim at and saying, we are going to solve this problem and not mention these other two big problems, is 236,000 in 2024. So do you think Poilievre is going to fix any of this problem? Nope. Big fat nope. It's not going to happen, period. Here is what's happening without any kind of paperwork, just illegal people crossing into Canada for no reason, and the Canadian government is just turning a blind eye. Here we go, 25 seconds of what's happening in, I think it's Quebec.
People illegally entering Canada at irregular border crossings.
Illegal? Why irregular border crossings? Illegal border crossings. These are not legal things, and they're not irregular. They're illegal.
And ending up on his family's property.
This year has been insane. It's every day, all day. Last couple months, non-stop people crossing.
Military-type helicopters flying overhead, a common sight. Livingstone and others are on a first-name basis with the many RCMP officers patrolling the area. People
on a first-name basis with the RCMP officers, but we keep seeing all these vagrants pass through who are definitely not from here. So this is impacting jobs and people flooding in through all various means, legal, non-legal, etc. And senior citizens are trying to stay afloat in a Canada that is experiencing almost hyperinflation. We're not quite at hyperinflation yet, but pretty soon we'll have 1 million Canadian digital bucks, I'm sure, right? For a loaf of bread that has 9 slices or something like that, like a half loaf of bread, right? It's not a real loaf of bread. Here's this lady, and she can't find a job, and she would like to work at a Tim Hortons, but they don't hire people like her. And she takes it to mean seniors, but what they actually mean is white. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Kathy Peterman.
Oh, it's been a day and a half since the last instance of too fast talking. Apologies. And then I set it to too fast talking again. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Kathy Peterman. And I just came to a Tim Hortons on Idlewild here in Saskatoon. I'm a senior. I work part-time for a catering company. So I had to drive through, and they had a sign in the window that said we're hiring. So I asked them if they were hiring seniors, and they said no. That's not the second time this has happened. In Fairlight Drive, the same thing. I asked them if they were hiring. I said, somebody like me? And they said no. I'm going to now show you the Tim Hortons that I was at. Excuse me, and I don't mean to be rude, but they hire immigrants, but they won't hire a senior. This is the place that said that they wouldn't hire me because I'm a senior. This is going on TikTok. This is going on Facebook because this is totally wrong.
It is totally wrong, and it is increasing. People are noticing. Japan's noticing. Apparently, this image is going insanely viral on Japanese Twitter, and it is the Australian flag, Australia being killed by Indian immigration, Canada being killed by Indian immigration, and Japan having India knock on their door to come and do the same thing it's done to Australia and Canada, right? Not so good. Jobs again. Rod says, they told us illegal aliens just pick crops. Yesterday, 475 workers were detained at Hyundai's $4.3 billion mega site in Georgia. Not farms, not fields, one of the most advanced EV battery plants in America. The lie just collapsed. So they're not actually coming here for agricultural work. They're coming here and doing highly specialized work and getting paid peanuts for it. Much less than American workers would get paid, probably, right? And that's not great. Rod says federal agents stormed the Hyundai LG battery plant near Savannah, 475 detained, largest single-site immigration enforcement in DHS history. Majority were foreign nationals, many South Koreans. This isn't lettuce picking. It's high-tech, high-dollar jobs. We spent billions to give South Koreans jobs in the battery plants in Ontario, and then it got out, and everybody collectively shrugged. Everybody was like, And are you being racist? I don't know. I don't know why nobody cared, but nobody cared. Hyundai is calling this project the largest economic development in Georgian history, yet hundreds of the jobs subsidized with your tax dollars were being filled by people here illegally. This is what Bidenomics really meant. Wasn't Trump touting the Hyundai deal? Or did they double the Hyundai deal? For decades, the media said illegal immigrants do the jobs Americans won't do. But when Trump cracks down, where do we find them? Auto plants, tech factories, construction of America's green future. These are some of the best jobs in America. Think about it. Those 475 jobs should have gone to Georgia welders, American electricians, young people just starting out building families. Instead, outsourced to illegal labor while Americans are locked out. Yeah, Trump's DHS has expanded authority for USCIS agents investigate, arrest, prosecute employers who violate immigration law. This Hyundai bust is just the beginning. Corporate America has been warned. So maybe we'll see. We'll see if there's fallout from all of this. Libs of TikTok says the Hyundai battery plant where 450 illegals were arrested is the very same plant that Joe Biden promised would provide jobs for the American people. You can't make this up. So yeah, this was definitely Biden era. I thought Trump was doing a presser with the Hyundai guy, but he's done pressers with a bunch of different car dealers, so I'm probably just conflating. Dallas Brody, the leader of 1BC, she says, 1BC calls for an immediate suspension of immigration into Canada. So that's, a rational response to the invasion of the country. Once you've recognized the problem, you say, we should solve this problem. Good job. Here's the press release. 1BC calls for an immediate suspension of immigration into Canada. 1BC leader Dallas Brody today called for an immediate suspension of immigration into Canada, citing the stream of mass migration on British Columbia's housing, healthcare, and job markets. British Columbia has been overwhelmed by mass migration, says Dallas Brody. The consequences are everywhere. Wages are falling, housing is out of reach, healthcare is collapsing, and our culture is being eroded. 1BC will fight for British Columbian workers and young people, not for corporate elites or foreign interests. Between 2021 and 2023, Canada admitted over 12 million newcomers, with millions more expected under current federal policies. The surge has overwhelmed public services. Emergency rooms are packed. Wait times stretch past 14 hours, and nearly 1 million British Columbians don't even have a family doctor, said Tara Armstrong, 1BC House Leader. 1BC outlined a clear 3-point plan. 1, suspend immigration, halt all new immigration streams, including temporary foreign workers, foreign student visas, asylum claims, with narrow exceptions for critical shortages like healthcare. If you open that door at all, it's going to get busted all the way open. End renewals, stop renewals of existing temporary foreign workers and study permits, uphold the law, deport individuals who are not lawfully in Canada. The solution is simple. Put British Columbians first, added Brody. We will restore safe streets and schools, reliable healthcare, rising incomes, and homes you can actually afford. This can be the beginning of a Canadian renaissance. To learn more about 1BC, visit here. So, I don't know. Do you think that they can solve the problem? Do you think that there's enough political will to get behind any party that is able to articulate a solution like that? I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because it seems like all of the political parties in charge right now are up for half measures, and the way to solve the healthcare issue is to import people from anywhere and let them use the training they got from anywhere in our hospitals. And fingers crossed that they speak English. I don't know, man. And if I was going to go to another country and do my job, I don't know that I would be able to fit hand in glove in that country doing my job, right? Well, there are ways, because I would be able to translate and kind of work around it using AI and translation software and things like that. But if you're working face to face, if I was working in a hospital and I had to go in and do a job where somebody said, hey, this person's bleeding, put the vacuum thing here, I'd be like, this person's, what's that third word? Something. Okay, bleeding. Oh, right, bleeding, put it here. Oh, right. Yeah, here, right there. I would be inefficient. I would be very bad at the job, right? And I feel like, why would we expect anything else from other people coming to our country who can't speak the damn language? Why would we expect that? I'd be terrible at the job, and I freely admit it. And if they're terrible at the job, maybe it's because they don't speak English. Amuse is talking about the Islamification of Germany, and he says Germany is on the verge of banning AfD because it noticed. Here's a map of mosques in Germany on the left. There are 2,750, and churches in Saudi Arabia, Christian churches in Saudi Arabia. That'd be 0, right? None. You're not allowed to have your Christianity in Saudi Arabia. And Amuse says Germany is cooked. 55% of police candidates in Germany's capital, Berlin, do not speak sufficient German, needing language support, right? So stop, criminal, right? If you're supposed to say that and then you get it wrong, right? And then you default to your your default language, your native language, that's not going to work so well, right? And so, but it's like me saying, stop, criminal, in Germany. And the criminal is like, speaks English and says, no, right? But I mean, they're not going to speak whatever language the people are importing into Germany because they're importing the Middle East, just like here. Tommy Robinson, and in England too, all across Europe indeed, Tommy Robinson's reacting to this Reddit tweet and a Reddit thread, and it says, my school has banned some foods from being sold and eaten after some students complained. Are there any laws that they broke? My school has banned some foods like sausage rolls from being sold in the tuck shop. They also banned me from heating sausage rolls or making ham and cheese toasties in the sixth form toasty maker microwave. They call them toasty makers. That's great. We've got a petition together and managed to get 100 or 125 students to sign it, demanding that the sausage rolls and ham, cheese, toasties be sold again. Only a minority of students complained about them in the first place. It doesn't seem fair that a few students get to dictate what the rest of us are allowed to buy and what we're allowed to heat in the microwave. I heat my own sausage rolls that I brought from outside in the microwave, and they complained again, and then they banned us heating any sausage rolls in the microwave. And I mean, I can get behind a fish ban. Like, don't heat your fish in the microwave. That's a bridge too far for me. But sausage rolls, I don't know. Go find a different microwave, man. Are there any laws being broken at my school? Why can one religious group get to dictate what the rest of us can or cannot eat at lunch? Good question. And Tommy Robinson says the new school year has begun and British students are already being banned from eating pork products as not to offend the Muslim students, right? Yeah, so pretty wild stuff going on. Here's this lady, and she says, do you know what's happening in England? This is what I listen to 5 times a day. Here you go.
Get this. The English Christians within Leicester are having to listen to the Islamic call to prayer 5 times a day from 70 different mosques. Have a listen to this. This is the residents of Leicester's morning wake-up call.
And yet they persist to sleep through it. They do. They just sleepwalk through all of this, right? Very, very concerning. And Shabana Mahmood says, it's the honor of my life to serve as the Home Secretary. The first responsibility of government is the safety of its citizens. Every day in this job, I will be devoted to that purpose. So she's the new Home Secretary. For over 2 centuries, the Home Secretary has safeguarded the nation. Today, we begin a new chapter of not safeguarding the nation as we welcome Shabana Mahmood to the Home Office as the new Home Secretary. And Valentina says, a Muslim in charge of stopping Sharia law, a Muslim in charge of the Muslim rapists, a Muslim in charge of the Muslim illegals. In Sharia law, you wouldn't even be allowed to read or even speak without permission, let alone be in office. Rapist Muslims have taken over England. I don't think that she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong. Here's the Radio Genoa thing. This is the number of mosques in Germany and mosques in Saudi Arabia. We covered that earlier, but just it's worth reminding ourselves: 0 mosques in Saudi Arabia, or 0 Christian churches in Saudi Arabia. Jack says Lucy Connolly just revealed a photo of her child holding the Union Jack was censored and held back from her by prison authorities after being sent to her, apparently just for waving the flag. The crowd at Reform Conference, including myself, is absolutely shocked by the news. And I can't say that I'm shocked by the news. We have an occupying force running our government all across the West. And until we stop them, they are going to continue. And they are selling a story that justifies what they're doing. But again, that's only going so far. And people are having questions. So they'll continue as long as we let them continue. And we should probably stop them. But I think very, very strongly that there's an occupying force in our government. And it is not a government of the people, by the people, representative of the people to do what we want. If we say, hey, we should stop this carbon tax, the government says that's dangerous, right? Jeepers creepers, anything, all the good ideas, the government says, no, that's racist, that's dangerous, you can't do that. What about this group of people? What about that group of people? And we shouldn't tolerate that. Remember when the Haitians were barbecuing pets? Remember that? Not too long ago, right? They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith official account for the office of Indiana's 53rd lieutenant governor. He says, yesterday I met with Haitian pastors from Marion County. Their people have endured earthquakes and violence, and now more than 40,000 are seeking asylum here in Indiana. No. How about no? How about nope? We spoke about barriers of language and culture while also discussing the power of faith and family. What I saw was not a community asking for a handout, but people determined to work hard, raise their children to become contributors to the great Hoosier state and assimilate to the American way of life. I don't believe you. So why do we have politicians who are more worried about 40,000 Haitians that are disaffected than the people who were impacted by Hurricane Helene, right? Or all of the wildfires, all of the problems that have been happening. What about Little Palestine, Ohio? Remember, isn't that the one with the train explosion and all the chemicals and the water? Why are we more worried about foreign countries with foreign nationals who are coming here begging for spaces that maybe the people who were impacted by Helene would need, or maybe the people who were impacted in Ohio would need, right? Like what? Why? I don't understand. Is this virtuous? Why is this virtuous to help everybody but your citizens? I don't get it. And they're all doing it. It's not just the lieutenant governor of Indiana. It's everybody. It's just the latest example, right? These Haitians deserve our help, right? Forget those other Americans. Forget those other Canadians. Screw them. They can die on the street for all I care. They're probably MAGA. But these people need our help. What? How does this make any sense? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm done pretending that these people are working for us. And I mean, I've said this very clearly a bunch. These people work for the Uniparty. They're globalists, and they're trying to implement globalist communism, flooding the country by lying and saying anything to get you to believe that they're virtuous, good people just doing good things. They're not. They're liars, and they're stealing from you, and they're doing it to destabilize the country, and it's sick. And with that, we have to say goodbye to the stream. So thanks for watching, everybody. You can get the whole show over at CanadaPoly.com. But if not, that's okay. I'll see you tomorrow. And for everybody else, we will carry on. And yes, we're all done. Let's talk about Mark Carney. I wanted to talk about the free speech stuff on the free show, but I just if I do that, if I make the free show too long, then it's useless. Why have the whole paid show, right? It's just crazy. So anyway, regardless, here is Kirk, and let's talk about Mark Carney and his conflicts of interest and all of the concerning things that are happening around Mark Carney. Kirk says Canada's labor force in July lost 41,000 jobs. In August, lost 66,000 jobs. I think all the numbers are fake, by the way. Mark Carney, we need more foreign labor. Yes, we need to open up the temporary foreign worker floodgates, please. In IMF or IMB, whatever it is. All of this stuff is damaging to Canada's economy. But also, in a weird way, if we didn't have all these people coming in, our economy will go through a very, very 3 or 4 quarters of trying to adjust to the drop in financial activity. Because if you have every quarter 1 million people coming in,